Hello, all my lovely people out there. My name is Chris, and I will be your god this time around for this foreseeable evenings. With that, we have a lovely production for you, but first, we have a god killer here, so please, god killer, please introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I will be the God Killer today. Today, I will be playing Omera, the devout, who uses they, Ray pronouns. And for now, that's all I'm gonna tell you about them. But what about you, Chris? Introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, allow me to introduce yourself. I am your benevolent and ever-present God. I will be running this foreseeable series of Forsaken, and I'm very excited for the story we have for you today. With that in mind, before we get into our lovely, fantastical story here, there is a bit of logistics here, specifically content warnings. We'll put the bad boys in the waiting screen, but we also have an exclamation point CW command for you. For this series in particular, this AP contains fantasy violence, gore, blood, familial struggles, drug abuse, severe weather, romance, and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosities, depictions of experimentation, references to epidemics and diseases, trauma, imperialism, classism, depictions of war, depictions of imprisonment. If any of these things do not float your boat, there is a plethora of wonderful content out there for you to enjoy, or if you even need a moment to step back and come back into this, please, your peace is your priority. Also, there is another command here. If you want to follow either of us, you can type exclamation point cast to see where our socials is and where you can find us as we tell this foreseeable series for the future. But with all of that lovely stuff in mind, God Killer, are you ready to enter into a new world?
No, but yes.
No, but yes, the fantastic response. So, with that, everyone, let us begin. We open up not anywhere that we can understand at first. The camera opens up in darkness. And as it becomes a little bit more clearer, it opens up beneath a dark set of waters of a lake. What seems to be a shimmering night that shines with a full moon that is bright white on its surface. Its surface is calm and peaceful in this body of water, as it is undisturbed by any elements of the world. Soon, the muffled sounds of panic and concern begin to break through this underwater, peaceful, serene lake. Something is happening outside, but it is still just out of reach enough that it is to be no concern. As we slowly see this glassy white moon turn into a blood-soaked red. Soon, a large explosion follows suit, with people screaming, panicking out the way as whatever is happening, maybe some sort of tower from a castle of some sort, is hit and immediately crashes into this peaceful and calm lake as it begins to ripple through, as pieces of debris begin to fall down ever so slowly between its almost clear-like blue into the dark depths of the lake. Soon, the crash is followed up with several more crashes. At first, they are objects, but soon we start to see there are also bodies that are caught in this explosion as they all begin to sneak into the depths of the darkness that lies at the bottom. The camera itself soon now begins to almost move as we follow it, flying through various holes and debris as we see bodies slowly going down, pieces of their body parts either blown off or them just having no sense of consciousness. Until we find ourselves looking at a beat up and tethered or sort of tattered cloth person that is sneaking and sort of almost sinking in this rubble as they are in a rather peaceful state. Omera, please describe what you look like as you are being enveloped in the warmth of this water.
Omera is a very tall, strongly built individual. They stand at 6'3", though right now you can't tell because they're slightly, I think, hunched over from pain. They have light brown skin and these incredibly dark brown eyes that are filled with a grief, a sadness that you can probably tell even just at first glance that has never lit those eyes before. Omera's hair is really long, slightly wavy, a dark brown, similar to the color of their eyes, and right now it is entangled with different leaves and dirt and other sort of muck that seems to have come perhaps from the conflict that is all around Rem. And Ray walks wearing this very sort of simple green shawl that at the end of it turns into leaves and flowers, petals that are currently curled up in on themselves as if to protect themselves from whatever is happening all around. And from the exposed skin that you can see, Omera has tattoos seemingly covering every inch of her body. There are leaves, vines, flowers, petals, sort of almost looking like they're growing out of their skin that is coming up their arms, their collarbones, framing their neck, and going up and around, snaking up until they reach their jaw, which is where the tattoos seem to end. And right now, Omera is looking all around this battlefield, this whatever is happening right now in confusion and fear.
There is fear, yes. As for those who do not know, you in a sense, health is not great. As for this game in particular, there is strain. And our lovely God Killer here is at a 4 out of 5. Close to death's door, as whatever has happened has really, really messed up their day. As you, Omera, can feel the warmth of this water acting like its own kind of aesthetic over the bruises and cuts that you have got here, and you can almost feel your life slowly fading away. It's been a very long day. It has been a very taxing day. And while you are panicked and while you are trying to find a way out of here, you can't help but feel peaceful in this moment. And I think for a time, this silence of everything takes over as you can see yourself getting closer and closer between that border that separates the red light of this blood-soaked moon and the pitch black of this lake. But then, something is able to snap you out of your senses. You can hear a concerned scream. It's relatively impossible for you to hear this, but you can feel it in your heart as you hear the desperate voice of Azul up top, screaming.
I run immediately for them. I don't waste a second at all. As soon as I recognize that scream, I am there. Even if I can't see exactly where she is, I'm following the sound.
With that, as you're almost picking up in a sense of, I have to move, I gotta, move, get out of here, you can immediately start to feel the sort of crushing weight of the water just kind of forcing you to go up as your lungs can't hold as much, breath as you've been holding. And with that, as you find your way out top, head above the water, you see before you a mass mixture of confusion here. As you can see what looks like to be fighting, aiding, and other feelings of fear going about here as you see a castle which is blown up, broken, and ablaze as hundreds upon hundreds of tents housing soldiers, an army strong, is in chaos and on fire. As where the castle once stood is now raining fire from its seams, as in explosions from other parts of it are still blowing up and hitting into the rocks. As you're sort of moving their way out the water, as it's sort of slashing through, you can see there are people either running into it in terms of they're on fire and they need to be put out, or you see other people crawling out barely with the energy you have. As you can see, it's just a mixture of chaos here. With that in mind, you see that on top of people helping each other, they're fighting. It seems that whatever peace was here is dead as this water, you can guess, as you see these almost poorly equipped rebels shooting in not any formation against these soldiers that are also not in formation. This is very loose, very dirty, and very grimy fighting. As you see this, what do you want to do?
Omera normally would consider helping the people around Rem. There are people that are hurt, people that are dying, but right now with Omera's state that they are in themselves, the very limited energy that they have within themselves, they make the difficult decision to ignore everything, all of the strangers, the soldiers, the people that need help. Right now, they are not important. The only person that is important is Azul and getting to him. And so you said that Azul was kind of on top of everything, and Omera is trying to sort of push through the bodies, push through the people. If there are people trying to drag, pull on Omera's shawl as they move through, I think with the very little energy that they have left, I think wrench themselves free to push through. And I think as they sort of get closer and closer to Azul, Omera will yell out and call for Azul's name.
Fantastic. I think here, for one of our moves, your lovely mortar move, something part of this game, you're acting impulsively, as you're not thinking of anything. So with that, when you act impulsively, everyone English, describe the emotion that drives you in an answer one. The GM will tell you something you didn't notice until now as they answer the other. So I leave it to you which question you would like to answer here.
The emotion that is currently driving Omera is fear. It is a fear that Azul is going to get caught up in all of this carnage and all of this fighting and is not going to come out of it on the other side. And so that is what is driving Omera to act impulsively in this manner, in a way that they would not normally. And I would like to answer in terms of what advantage I sees. I think Omera sort of looking at this scene that is before Rem, Ray is able to, I think, figure out the best path forward through this chaos. Is able to figure out, okay, where are the least amount of people, where is the easiest way to cut through the water and to get to Azul.
Fantastic. Well, as you do that, you first understand you are just one entity among bodies here, which is advantageous as it is chaotic. As you're able to push out the way, you're kind of going in, pushing people aside. You barely almost dodge a bullet that was almost aimed for your head as you see one of the soldiers shoot one of the rebels in the head as you kind of push the body off to the side. You're going through, at once you were kind of clean, you're getting all muddy now from, it being kicked up in the air and people pushing each other and whatnot. With that, I get to answer the question, what trouble hits you hard and fast? As you are going through, you hear one of the soldiers kind of scream out, "It's Johanna!" As you see going in the air, this sort of amalgamation of whispers and red mist of the color of blood, going through the air, circling like a vulture for its prey, begins to get near you. As you see, they go through a group of rebels and just land on the ground as various people go through. You see one of the soldiers kind of who got hit try to pick themselves up, and you see the vestige of Johanna grab him by his head like he is nothing, picking him up like a paperweight, and slowly opening their jaw as they spraying blood. As you see, he kind of gets tossed to the side. You see Johanna is in once a vestige of beauty, is a little bit now not so beautiful, depending on how you see it, but for the most part you see a sort of dark-skinned individual with a set of deep jet black eyes with red hair that flows almost perfectly in the wind, as their body once had armor but is now more like blood-esque, if you would kind of think of it. It's almost like a armor of blood now rather than it being physical material. And with that, you see their fangs, vampire-like, almost on their teeth, kind of very much out and monstrous. Where are you, traitor? As you see, they kind of are in the middle of this looking for you. What do you do in this instance?
As soon as Johanna had landed into the water near Omera's first instinct was to duck underneath the water, to get as much air into their lungs as possible and to just go underneath. And so I think Omera watched this devouring, this feast happen like from underwater, and watching sort of like the way the water distorts the image, I think makes it even more frightening for them to see. And they can hear like the muffled sound of Johanna calling out for them, calling them a traitor, which, well, that's neither here nor there, coming from Johanna specifically. And so I think Omera, hearing that, is going to try and swim underwater for as long as they can, because they probably can't hold their breath for very long anymore, being as injured as they are, but will try to swim underneath the water and try and get around Johanna, trying to keep as much distance as possible, because I don't want to be near that.
Yeah, you are immediately kind of, you see that Johanna's state, they're almost very much predator mode. If you move, you're dead. As you see, they attack their own soldiers, they attack rebels, they attack anything with a pulse and a beating heart, as they are looking for you ravenously, and you're able to, for the moment, you're able to kind of go under the water and just be very careful. And as you kind of duck your head into it, and come out, you can see Azul. They're probably not too far off. And with that, you sneak your way as your entire body gets covered in the smoke that is within this area. As the camera cuts. At this moment, the camera cuts, and along it you can see in beautiful gold text, it reads, "Several weeks later. Omera, you are home. Specifically a place known as Mali. A place that has seen disease, has seen its fair share of trouble, but never has seen war. Has never understood war, as its various green fields and forests in which you find home is where you reside. As the camera zooms through this forest, please, as Omera is waking up, describe their home to the audience. What is their domain, if we were to put into a words like?
Just a clarifying question. Is this weeks later or is this weeks earlier?
Sorry, weeks earlier. My bad. Week earlier. So,
Omera's home in Mali is a very, I think, quaint, might be the best word to put it, little house. It is on the edge of the water. It's kind of, you know those houses that like float on top of the water, where they're kind of built on these structures to allow them to just kind of rise above it? That is where Omera's house is set, and it is made of this very dark, sturdy wood, covered entirely, like every single inch of this house on the outside is covered in like ivy and other like crawling vines. And you notice, if you are a regular denizen of Mali, you would notice that Omera's front door is always open. It is never closed other than when they go to sleep for the night. But as long as Omera is awake, they leave their door open. And so as we sort of follow into them right now, you can see Rare Door open, and sort of inside is this similarly covered kind of like in all spaces by different like herbs and flowers and botanicals, and there's like little salves and the little like trinkets and like what seems like maybe potions of some kind. It's a very maximalist aesthetic is kind of the best way to put it.
Phenomenal. With that, it is another beautiful morning within your station here as you get up from bed and as you can feel the floorboards and also the grass going in between your skin, touching it and whatnot. It is another busy day. You do have, a number of patients that are probably going to come to your door, but as you find yourself in this peaceful moment, what is going through your mind as it is just another day in another beautiful morning?
Omera wakes up and sees, I think, as Ray always does, the view outside the waters, watches a little bit as they drink their morning tea, watches the fish, and perhaps there are some like fishermen kind of off in the distance on their boats, and just kind of watches them, waves to anybody that they recognize. And I think during this kind of peaceful, slow morning before a busy day, Omera's mind is on the day ahead, is thinking about, like what kinds of different teas or potions might I need to prepare today? What do I have planned? What can I anticipate? And part of their mind also ends up going to the gambling halls in Mali, and Ray thinks to themselves that perhaps it might be a good day to go and visit one of them, even to pay tithes to the gods here.
It is, and as you're kind of going about, you kind of do turn on the radio, and you can see that, to keep it short and sweet and simple, it has been a little bit tense within the Empire. As you can hear over the radio, that they have tracked down some of the sort of rebels out there. From recent news, there was maybe a couple months back, an Empire treasure fleet, it's very much these sort of long, massive convoys that carry gold from place to place, specifically archipelago to wherever it needs to be into the Empire, and a group of rebels attacked it. They got away with a ship, but they can't find it. But good news for the Empire today, as some rebels were caught recently and are being thoroughly investigated in name of Emperor Ania, the Godmaker. But it's neither here and there for you, as one of your first customers comes through the door. You can see it's, at this point, you can see it's probably a smallish kind of child. You see that they're not particularly here for you. You do know that they're here for their mother, who tends to not be able to get up and come to you. As you see, they kind of come. Hello, Mira.
Hi, how are you today? How's your mother?
She's been better, but I'm here for the she needed her medicine, so I'm just here to pick it up.
I've got the salve. And I think Omera goes over to like this long stretch of wall that is covered in just shelves. It is exclusively just shelves, and it has a whole bunch of different items on it, and they are kind of sifting through, looking at the ones that are labeled to find one with this child's name on it. And as they're doing that, I think like over Rare's shoulder, Ray calls out to the kid, is there anything that I can get for you as well today? Just like a little treat of some kind? I mean, you always come for your mom, but...
I don't know. I mean, the money I have is only for medicine, so I can't really get anything else. It's immature, as they like to say.
And Omera grabs the like salve, the proper salve, goes over to this child, and kind of squats down, hands it over, or holds it out for the kid to take, and says, well, I mean, what if I gave it to you for free? Consider it like a gift.
See, bright, opened-eyed child.
Really? Would you really do that for me? I mean, I'll try to make it up, but are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, what would you like? What's your favorite flavor of tea?
Oh, tea. Do you have vanilla?
I'm sure we can fix something up for you. And Omera hands over the salve and walks over to like a little kitchen area and starts to prepare a tea, but also prepare like a little bag of like extra loose leaf for this child to take home so that they can have extra when they get there.
Yeah, and as you're kind of doing that, you do notice the kid kind of begins to kind of pander around into this place. And you see at a certain point, he goes towards your pictures, specifically towards the academy days of you. They're very more 1920s-esque kind of pictures, black and white, but still kind of maybe filmy green around the sides, and kind of goes, "What are those people?" As you see, he points to two individuals that you're with.
Oh, those are a couple of my friends, Azul and Titus. Have you heard of them?
I've never heard of him, no. I mean, oh wait, is that the Azul? Onyx Guard Azul?
Yeah, and Titus as well. I mean, last I heard, also works for the Empire, you know? They both have very big and important jobs.
I know, but Azul's like,
And you see he kind of gets very kid-like as he kind of gets up on one of your stand tables, which is like, cute, but this is my house.
as he goes, Azul, the head of the Onyx Guard, they took on Beast and have taken down rogue gods and put those rebels in their place.
As you see, just very energetic child for the morning.
Do you also want to be an Onyx Guard?
I would be more than anything to be, to be an Onyx Guard or to be a soldier and to fight the bad guys. As he goes,
Well, I mean, the Empire could always use stewards to help protect it. The Archons can always use help. And so why not? I think that you would make a wonderful soldier. Who knows? Maybe you can meet Azul one day. I can call him
that
over.
would be... Really? You promise?
As you see, he gets like now up close with child-eyed wonder.
Yes, I promise, but only if you study well and don't give your mom trouble, okay? And
Right.
And you see he grabs
Anything for you.
and Omera just gives like a silly salute back and says, "Okay, remind me of this kid's name."
You know this to be Henry.
Okay, and Omera just kind of goes, "Well, Soldier Henry, I will see you next time, okay?"
Very well. I will be back.
As you see, he kind of marches outward now, just very much embodying his like, I gotta start right now. As you see, he embodies that mentality with him.
And I think
And it is.
with that, Omera just kind of like thinks back as well to Azul, because Omera hasn't actually seen Azul in quite some time, and so that conversation with Henry, I think, reminds them that like, oh, like maybe I should contact Azul soon, send them a letter or something.
It does go in your mind, and I think throughout the day, it's almost like that idea of inception or that thought. It's in there and it's stuck in there, but you don't want to act on it. And for the purposes of this, your day kind of fast forwards. You meet various people, from a local gambler that didn't do too well against the local Archons here as they have their infamous games. You meet another mother who's expecting. You're getting them ready, teaching them about the woeful shifts of pregnancy and, getting them ready as much as you can, as she thinks it's going to be a breeze and you're like, oh, honey. But for the most part, it is another eventful day and another peaceful time. And as you kind of get towards your closing hours, that peace becomes jeopardized. To be specific, it is around late afternoon at this point. And to be specific, you see a carriage pulling around the corner, as it is your brother's. You see that it is riding like hell at the moment, as it is almost in a very rush. It kind of goes over a log and almost tilts itself and almost grounds it, but you see they're in a rush. And coming out of it, you see 3 individuals, all of which you know. The first one that you see coming out is your brother. You see that he has sort of that same textured brown skin like you do. You see his tattoos are a little bit more sort of angled, almost like a tri kind of design here, as it kind of goes from the forehead and to the sides of the cheek, and then goes down all the way down. As you see, he's currently in his senator robes, as he is one of the senators of Mali. You see he wears, similar to you, a dark green with various hints of gold in it and more of a flowery color, with his hair is sort of tied up in the bun, slightly messy and short brown. The other two you know to be Bernardis. These are people that you usually don't want to treat for reasons. You see one, the head of the family, Cosimo Bernardi, as he is an older gentleman, blue skin, bright red eyes, ears almost like a bat's, as he has his glasses on, sort of graying mustache as he's an older gentleman with that sort of, skin that flaps when you kind of get to that old age. You also notice on him in particular, it looks like his veins are red and almost very highlighted out, as something seems to be wrong with him. His son, on the other hand, Carlo, is a little bit younger, still that same blue skin, bat-like ears, and red eyes, but his hair is a little bit more dyed to be kind of a teal blue, and he wears robes that are more black in nature and gold. As you see your brother go, hey, I need your help with something. We didn't know who else to go to.
And I will take my brother Yakin's hands in my own and kind of pull him in close, and I will whisper to him, ideally in a voice that the Bernardis cannot hear. You know I'm always happy to help you, but why do you bring heretics with you?
Look, I it's a long story short. I can explain it, but he's dying, and there's nobody else in the city who is going to be willing to see his father's dying. So I understand, and I understand that we need to keep this under wraps, but if we don't help him, he's going to die. And you're the only person in this town who I can think would be willing to help him out. As you see Carlos in the back of like, hey, not to be a buzzkill or anything, are you going to help my father, or do I need to go somewhere else?
Yakin, have we considered that this might be the retribution of the Archons of Fate and Chaos?
Well, that is exactly actually what happened here, but...
And you would ask me to go against the gods?
Look, don't think yourself as, Scout's honor. I won't say anything. Just help him.
And Omera looks over at the Bernardis, at the older gentleman who is this head of the family. Okay. Just this once. Do not ask me to blaspheme again. And Omera will usher the two Bernardis into Rare Hut and uncommonly will close the door behind them.
Fantastic. I think another move is being activated here. My spider senses are tingling. You are doing as you're told. When you do as you're told, say how you show submission and answer one. The GM will show you a glimpse of their true intentions as they answer the other. So I, with that, leave it for you to decide.
See, the way that Omera is showing submission in this situation is that their brother is their older brother, first of all, and is a senator for Mali, and therefore a representative of the Archons of Fate and Chaos in a way. And so I think even though the Bernardis are known heretics in the land, Omera kind of just, I think, like rationalize it as like, okay, there must be something. There must be some reason that my brother is asking me to do this. And so Ray, falls in line and just allows this to happen. I think the vulnerability that I reveal in this moment as I accept this request, this plea to help heal this dying man, is that Omera has a very sensitive and kind, naive and manipulatable heart. When Omera sees suffering, it is difficult for Rem to ignore it, even if it is the will of the gods. I mean, we all know that, well, suffering is just a part of life. It happens, and sometimes it is necessary for justice, but even still, they can't help but want to alleviate any sort of hurt that might be being experienced by people. I mean, it's why they were studying to be one of the foremost healers of the Empire, after all, for so long. And so here, I think Omera reveals that that is perhaps a soft spot that is easy for people who know to be able to manipulate and to use to their advantage.
Very true. And I will get to how you're rewarded in a second. But for the moment here, you sit him on the table. You see that his body is very reacting. And upon further investigation, you're kind of ripping off his clothes, doing very much apothecary magic here. As you can see, he has what looks like to be some rare mutation of a disease that ravaged this place long time ago, known as red fever. You know, from the basis of what's happening here, something is closing his airways, and with that, it's the airways are not just only where he's breathing from, but every part of his body. So it's almost like he's getting squeezed from every intersection, which is causing his veins to pulse a little bit out the body because, you know, it's getting the pressure is being applied inside. So it's like he's internally combusting in a sense. So you understand in this moment, you need to kind of calm him down, or your place that is nice may get a little bloody, and that's not good to clean out of the floorboard.
Internally combust is just an image. You mentioned that the red fever had ravaged Mali like before in the past. How long ago was that, and when was the last case that we saw?
It's very much similar to the sense of a pandemic kind of style. So it wasn't just a disease that ran through, it kind of ravaged your place. You would say maybe about 50 years ago, kind of when third Cataclysm had kind of kicked up again. So it's been some time since, you have some cases, but since something this bad, it's been about 50 years.
Okay, Omera, I think, is also clocking that that's very similar to around the time when the Empire was founded, as well, right? When the sort of gods brought about this new era. Was there any connection between the two at all? Like, was it known that like the red fever was brought on by oblivion or by, you know, something that happened during the Cataclysm?
From what you can gather, because, you know, you can have text or kind of cross-referencing here, trying to think of your own education, you can say that he was kind of like a byproduct of Oblivion's realm entering in. It's very much like this sort of, it was something that's very benign in its realm, but when it got here, it kind of started to affect people. So you do understand that it does come from another place, but something has had to cure it because it's not around anymore. Now people aren't like dying from it every day. So there is a cure in mind. You just have to kind of ponder for a second as you're thinking.
Okay. I think Omera's sort of way of engaging in healing, especially when trying to ascertain knowledge that they may not have, given that red fever was something that ravaged Mali like 50 years ago, like well before Omera was born, being 32 years old themselves. I think this was not something that Omera was trained to be able to heal. And so in this moment, I think Omera like sits the Bernardis down and sits Yakin down, instructs Yakin to please calm them down as much as possible, because that's needed, while Ray is going to go and just very quickly is going to pray for guidance, specifically from Jahana the Lost, to try and gain the knowledge of how to cure red fever, that knowledge that they missed in their time.
Fantastic. So with that, when you pray for guidance, name the aid you seek and answer one. The GM will describe the aid that actually comes as they answer the other.
Okay. I mean, Omera is trying to beseech a particular god, but knows that, you know, who will answer will be kind of unclear. And I think in this case, it is not actually Jahana that answers. I think Omera sets up a prayer circle, lights a couple of candles, and in a bowl puts very specific herbs together to burn alongside as incense for this prayer, and is sort of directing their intention towards Shahana the Lost. But for whatever reason, that is not the person that answers back. And instead, I think it is the archons of fate and chaos themselves that answer. So Tava and Ivor, I think, are the ones that respond, and they are the ones that answer the prayer.
Yeah, you sort of are getting your stuff together. You kind of get it in like pestle and mortar, and as you're kind of going through, you do notice that as this kind of happens, that just some stuff falls by accident. You're going so fast and at such a rate that stuff just falls down, and as it does, you start to notice like, wait, maybe this might be it. As you can see sort of the chaos of it, and maybe fate itself, whatever is in here in the mixture, as you kind of double take, looking back at it, you see this may be it. As you concoct just a very kind of potion of some sorts that you're able to administer to the man in question. As you see that your brother is calming down the other Bernardi in here, as he's just like, trying to keep calm. And as you do, slowly lift his head and pour this almost purple-like liquid in as he just barely gets it in his mouth. And slowly you see the veins begin to go back down, and you can hear almost like if somebody was, didn't have air, finally breathing it back in.
Do I know if this is a permanent cure, or if this is like a temporary thing that needs to be administered over time?
I would say permanent for this instance here. What happened here was very quick and instant. So it's very much, it's like a very fast acting vaccine. So that's what you kind of get out of this moment here. And then, you see Carlo kind of go, "Hey, Dad, you all right, Dad?" "I'm fine, my boy, I'm fine."
And I
slowly
rush over, grab a glass of water, and bring that over to Cosmo as well, and offer it to him. How did you manage to get red fever, exactly?
You see the father begins to drink, and with that collar kind of goes, "Well, we had some news today. We were called to the main Gold House, and me and my father were brought before Taiva and Ivor, like we usually are. We were questioned very thoroughly about whether or not we knew about the cache of gold that went missing from the capital's treasure fleet. Though we had nothing to do with it, but you know how those two asshats are. They like to blame anything and everything they can on us. And you see, boy, if you don't, yeah."
And Omera, I think, raises a hand at the words, the two asshats. It says, "I will not condone that language in my hut. I have helped you, I have healed you against perhaps the will of the gods. May they forgive me. But I will not allow further heresy under my roof. I hope that you can respect that while you're here."
And as you are doing that, you can see the brother behind them of giving them a stare of "Bro, I brought you here, don't you mess this up." Very much as he kind of goes, "Hey, I'm sorry. Very heated right now, so you know how it is. But to make a long story short, we did say, we proved that we were innocent, but as always, they wanted to play their little games and played for higher stakes. Both played, I played, and believe it or not, I won, so our bank got more capital to use, but sadly, Father Dearest here rolled poorly, and he was infected. I thought he was going to die, but so I thank you."
Well, you're welcome, and I hope that you will perhaps consider this a warning, something to help you turn over a new leaf, even. Your gambling halls have an unsavory reputation, I would say.
You see, he begins to get up and escort his father. He's like, "Yeah, I think you should spend more time out there among the brick and mortar rather than the woods. World works a little bit different."
May the gods forgive you for that.
And you see very much like, whatever, as he kind of escorts his father. And for your reward, you see the older gentleman, Cosimo, kind of come up and hold your hand very tightly and goes, Omera, my dear, if there's anything my family can do for you, please do not hesitate. We are in your debt. That includes me and my heretical son. As you see him kind of go, yeah, what he said.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bernardi. I appreciate that. And perhaps if ever the Empire is in need, I will let you know.
You see kind of go, praise Ania, as he lets you go.
And I will allow him to leave, and as the door kind of closes behind him, I just kind of like turn around to Yakin. Okay. Never again. Never again for a favor that big.
Look, they needed help. He was gonna die. I'm sorry. I can't watch a helpless puppy and not do anything about it.
And I think Omer just kind of like leans against the door. I know, me too. But as senator, you should really be doing something about their establishments. They are profane, to say the least, compared to all of the others.
Oh, you sweet summer child. As you see, he kind of goes to the equivalent of wherever you have drinks at and begins to sort of pop one open and kind of pour one for himself. It kind of gestures to you of like, do you want any?
I'm okay. I'm being serious here. The gods of fate and chaos don't take nicely to rigged games. That is not worship. If we are to worship them properly, we play properly. We play with chance.
You know, you really need to get out of your woods a little bit more often. Nobody really does that whole scripture thing anymore. But clearly you haven't heard the news. It's not... Things are different nowadays.
The news? Of what, exactly?
Well, I was assigned to reporting my findings to the government on the raid on the treasure fleet, as you probably heard, but it's been to no avail. The gold itself, it's been the talk of the town as people are kind of tracing it and think maybe the original plotters or planners are from Mali, since we control most of the economy and the coinage. So they're starting to think maybe it was somebody from here, and especially with some thieves they caught recently, it's putting pressure. As you see, he kind of downs a drink.
And how are you handling all of that?
It's rough. I'm trying my best, and and you can see there. I think in this moment, I think it's another good time for a move to feel, or to feel someone or something out, or connect. Which one do you feel you're trying to do here?
I think in this case I am feeling someone out rather than connecting, because I'm trying to gain... I'm trying to figure out like how exactly my brother's actually feeling and like what his actual thoughts are on the situation.
Yeah, I think in instances, I'll go first. In terms of when you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what clarity about it and answer one. The GM will give you clarity you seek, and they will answer the other. For me, I think what feels kind of welcoming on the surface for him is that you can see this is a place where he can be himself. You see your brother, he has served as a soldier, he serves as a senator for what is considered one of the most important aspects of the Empire, their economy. And it is a lot of pressure, and now that he's a special investigator, a prosecutor of some sort, that's a lot of pressure, not only to find whoever's doing this, but also to put people as punishment. And your brother is not one for leaving people to dry. He understands crime must fit punishment, but usually death is the punishment, and he is not a person comfortable with that, even though he has served as a soldier and he has killed a lot of people in his career.
I And I think perhaps what feels dark or unnerving when I listen to my brother talk, when I look at him as he is downing this drink and sharing himself and his emotional self in this moment with me, is that he is not willing to push back. And I think there is this sort of unnerving sense of Yakin is going to need to make decisions that only he, in the position that he is in, can make, and that those decisions are going to go against perhaps a lot of what they believe in, but they're going to do it in service of something greater than themselves. And there is like a feeling of, I think, like disconnect there. There is a feeling of a loss of the self in a way, not quite a betrayal, but teetering on that edge that kind of like peeks out as he's talking.
And as you kind of understand that, you can see he kind of, well, I just have to make hard decisions. It comes with the job, so I'm trying my best.
Okay, well, and Omera is gonna walk over to that like long line of shelves again, and is going to, I think, like pull some jars down and create a little sachet with a mixture of different herbs, and will kinch it and then hand it over to their brother. As important of a person as you might be in the Empire, it is still important for you to take care of yourself during all of this. So here, might not be as fun as the drinking, but this should help at least a little bit with the anxiety.
Do you see that he grabs it and kind of goes, thanks. And as he kind of gets his stuff and prepares to walk out, you see he stops for a moment as you see he's holding something back before he closes the door again. And you see from his kind of in between where he's holding something, he pulls out an envelope. I didn't want to give this to you because of your history, but this is from the higher ups. As you see, he hands an envelope that has the Onyx Guard seal on it.
What might they want to do with me? I haven't been a part of the Academy for quite some time now.
It's not from them, it's from... And he kind of looks over to the photo. Azul. It's from them.
Oh, of course. And I think Omera, like, becomes, like, more relieved at hearing that it's from Azul, not from the Empire, and will, like, kind of, like, very relaxed, will walk over, take the envelope, and kind of just, like, turn it over just to see if there's anything unusual or, like, interesting about the envelope or about, like, the seal that is sort of closed with.
You could see it's traveled very far. Usually people can drop a telegram. That's the other thing. It was like, if they want to leave a message, telegram, easier, faster, cheaper. And you can see that this letter maybe it's secrecy about it. Maybe there's something in here they didn't want people to know, and especially of how far it traveled from the way it is sort of the parchment is aged. It looked like it rained a little bit and then dried and then whatnot. But upon reading the letter, it reads as follow, as their voice almost plays in the back of your head as you read it. Dear Omera, I hope this letter finds you well, and that your life has been going well for you. I'm sorry that I never write to you as often. I just not good with words, especially after the incident. I couldn't find the words to help you, but I'm writing to you as I need your help. I'm currently on the front lines of Stauffen dealing with a rebel group known as Raven Separatist. And while the conflict has been a bloody one, I think I may have found a chance to end this conflict peacefully. I don't want to say much, as I'm going to be going behind Johanna and Titus's back by sending you this letter. I know you more than anyone else, and I know that you understand the benefits and importance of peace. I hope you find it in your heart to come. P.S. I have left you a seal with my approval, which should get you through any of the immediate bearers you may encounter on your way. From Azul. As the message kind of ends there.
Omera will read it, and then, like, just without moving, Rare Head will look up at Rare Brother. Have you read this?
I didn't peek, but I just know that if it's from Azul, and then they send it by letter, which is a very ancient form of messaging here, it's probably something secret, probably something dangerous, and probably something you should involve yourself in.
I don't understand why she would be asking me for... And I think Omera will just kind of, like, fold it and hold it up against their chest. I think I have some preparations to make. I might be gone for a while.
Don't go. I mean, I know why you want to go, and believe me, there are plenty of other fine-looking people in the city that you can date.
This does not...
Sure, you got a witch thing going on here, and you live in the woods, but hey, you got an apartment, I guess. So if you want to play that angle, you live somewhere, you got a stable job.
Yakin, this has nothing to do with matters of the heart. This has everything to do with the betterment of the Empire. You can understand that, right?
You see, he goes, bullshit, but when is anything I ever said stop you? So please be careful and keep in contact. If you need anything, I will try my best to get it to you.
Thank you. Take care of the house for me when I'm gone.
All right, I'll try my best.
All right. And I think Omera is just going to, like, usher their brother out the door, and is going to, like, make all of the preparations to go. We'll take some of their materials, some of their herbs and potions and salves with them, and anything else that they might need to travel. And is going to head over to Staflon to see Azul for the first time in quite a long time.
It is indeed a long time. And as time kind of fast forwards, probably you would say you can't really count off your hand at the moment, but for the most part, it's been maybe a couple of days, maybe a week and a half, as you find yourself on one of the many boats that are going to Stalfin. You know off the top of your mind, Stalfin is a complicated country. It is in conflict with rebels, known as Raven Separatists, from what you heard are your standard, typical freedom fighters, maybe, trying to get under the yoke of the vampire lords that use them more like cattle rather than subjects. Up to interpretation, but to go against the higher-ups is to go against Aenir. To go against Aenir is a sin through and through. And the Empire does not stand for it. As you make your way to the port of Castle Dumont, you see the clear and beautiful skies of Vali soon turn into a dark and gray smoke that Stalfin is known for, as the Imperial ship provides you passage, there we go, along what is known as the Blood River, a river whose dark hue is reflected off the light of the nearby stone, giving it blood red color. Intimidating, but harmless. And soon, as you turn and veer off the car of the boat, you see the castle in all of its might, as it is large, with towering dark purple misshaped towers that make up this infamous castle of the last count who ushered in the age of the vampire lords. At the bottom of the castle is unlike any sight you have ever seen in your life, as you see the entirety of Johanna's forces are here, as they lay at the feet of the castle and surrounded for a couple miles, as you see a set of lights from emanating from the dark forests that are around. And maybe just a bit beyond, as you see the golden green flags of the Empire sigil waving in unison of the crimson red teeth of Johanna the Devourer. With that, you see tents upon tents upon tents. Almost maybe, if you were to count, maybe 30,000 soldiers here, that this acts as a main hub for the region. And as you sort of begin to get off the boat, you feel like a sore thumb a bit. As you are clean, you are in more colorful robes, and everyone else here seems to be a soldier. You see that they are mud covered, they either have cuts, bruises, maybe missing a limb or two. You see they're all very much determined about their cause here as they kind of go about everything and all that they're doing. And as you're kind of getting off the boat with your supplies, you feel like there's an individual waiting for you as they have their sort of arms crossed at the moment and kind of looking almost like if they're trying to search for somebody. You can see the individuals probably maybe about 5'6". They have sort of this almost like seaweed green skin with the fins of a fish kind of coming off of their side here, with their hair almost like a messy seaweed green on top of that, as they have what looks like to be scales along their cheeks and also what looks like to be almost a creature claw across their face, which is kind of healed now. In terms of their status, you can see that they look like to be maybe a little bit above the standard cut of a soldier. You see that they maybe are a scout, as the equipment that they have on them seems to be more for wayfinding, from binoculars to a sniper rifle, more for long distance. And on top of it, you can see they have what looks like to be almost lighter armor rather than something to stop a bullet. This is meant for you to, if you get stabbed, sure, but this is for you to run as fast as possible. As you see, they are currently just waiting and looking for whoever they can find, that someone will come to them. They don't know exactly what they're looking for, so they're just hopelessly waiting.
In the letter that I got from Azul, were there any instructions about like engaging with Johanna's army at all? Because they did mention in the letter that they are doing it behind Johanna's back. So just want to make sure I'm not accidentally revealing things that I shouldn't be.
It is up to you. The letter did cut, it was vague. So they didn't necessarily say, I have a person waiting. They could have done it, because again, it's a letter. You could forget to write something and you'd be like, well, I can't resend to send. I can't edit. It's already out there. I'm not going to send another letter that if it'll ever get there. So at the moment, all you know is what you got. So maybe he's working for Azul, maybe not, but
Okay.
Clearly he's waiting for something on this bay.
And just the quick scan around, do I see Azul at all or no?
Nope, you don't see him at all. You just see a
Okay.
bunch of, there's tents upon tents. Even if you kind of went looking, it would take some time because there's so many people here.
Yeah, I don't think Omer will spend time looking. I think if they don't see Azul just at like a quick scan, then I think Ray is just going to walk up towards this group and seeing this sort of green-skinned person is just going to kind of like wave kind of sheepishly and like awkwardly because they're not really sure if they're like interrupting something or not, but hello.
Oh, and you see he kind of puts his map away. Hey, how you doing? Are you Almera by chance?
Yes. You are...
Gets up, cleans himself off. William Scarborough, captain in Johanna's levies. So I work with Azul closely. So I was sent here to guide you to a tent.
Oh, well, thank you very much, William. Is it okay if I call you that, or should I call you Captain Scarborough?
No, William is a nice change of pace from everyone calling you a fucking captain all day long. So it's a nice change of pace.
Well then, William. Yes, please, lead the way.
All right, follow me, stay close. If somebody gives you shit, just let me know and I'll just pop them in the head. I usually tends to back them off.
Is there anything that I should know while I'm here? I just feel like I stick out a little bit.
Yeah, no, he's like, it's very simple. If you want to stick out less, you can just dirty yourself up a bit. But, and you see, kind of leads you through, you're kind of walking through the camp itself. He kind of goes, mess hall over there. You can see over there, that's where the main castle is, where Johanna's held up, main intelligence HQ. Me and my boys, we are the scouts of the army. And we just do preliminary, scouting trips from time to time. And kind of goes about and everything. And as he's sort of telling everything, he kind of goes, do you mind if I ask a personal question?
I suppose it depends on the question, but you can ask.
Well, I mean, who exactly are you? I mean, you really must be impressive, because Azul never really asks for help from outsiders. Usually we got everything you need here, or you could just go to Johanna yourself. I mean, why bring, no offense, a tree hugger from, if I'm correct, where the gold people are?
No, I wouldn't really call myself anybody particularly impressive or anything. I think perhaps it's just a matter of trust. Azul and I, we went to school together back at the academy, and so we've known each other for quite some time. Might just be that he wants some friend's opinion.
Well, you'd be true. I mean, it's nice to see a welcome face in this, place. You never know. Usually we have to keep our head down to the middle of the night, or we get, snapped in the head. But you shouldn't have that problem.
Do I need to worry about that?
I would change your clothes. A bright green would, it's like, look over there. And kind of like, he's very much just like, you got a sheen to you of like, this would be bad in night. But he's like, you don't have to worry about that right now. We could get you something later. As he kind of pulls around the corner, you see he kind of points to one of the big tents that are in the area. It's a little bit bigger. You can see that this is maybe a command tent. As you kind of are walking, and he kind of goes, all right, she's gonna be cut short. As you can see what looks like to be whisper in the air, as a large red mist comes into the castle. And you see there's almost like an unsettled quietness here, as he kind of goes, aye, that's Johanna. It looks like they're back, and believe me, they grow zealous by the day. And he kind of goes, I really hope you're here to help, because if we can't fucking win this war, we're gonna be the ones dealing with these consequences.
I will help it as much as I can. And I think it's like very obvious that Omera is a little bit perhaps perturbed, just putting too fine a point on it, but is definitely unsettled by having been this close to Johanna in the flesh, so to speak, in real life, and is not really sure how to behave. It's like that feeling of like, oh my god, like what do I do with that? And I think is just very keen on just getting into the tent as quickly as possible.
Yeah, with that he goes, I'll be right outside if you need anything. Just let me know.
Thank you very much, William.
Fantastic. And with that, you begin to enter in. As you kind of enter in, you can see that the demeanor of this place is very tactical. You see there's a map of the region in the back. You can see there's a number of braziers here that act as light. You can see on the main table, there seems to be almost like a certain type of topography of the region, specifically around mountains, but none of that really matters to you. As you see the vestige of someone you have not seen in quite a long time. You see the wonderful vestige of Azul. You see they are maybe around 5'7". They have this sort of light blue skin to them, as they have white tattoos that glow around their cheeks, kind of curving up like almost like tusk, and more that kind of go downward. You see their hair is a snow white, as it is almost bundled up just for war, in a sense of like they can't really have this flowing out. You can see their eyes are that of a bright neon white, looking through everything. And the various, piercings, usually around the eyebrow region. But for you, the main difference is that they seem to be a little bit more built than the last time they have. They have a little bit more wider shoulders and more muscle density to them. Not anything too crazy, but a little bit more. And also, you see these changes are accompanied by a variety of scars, bruises, and cuts that don't detach, but rather add to the beauty of this warrior. with that they are currently focused at the moment and have not paid attention to your arrival yet, as they seem to be very much in it at the moment.
Not paying any mind to whether there are other people in the room or anything like that. I think the sight of Azul for the first time in so long brings a lightness into Omera's body, and there's almost a glimmer as they like rush over to her and just full on just like give her a hug. Azul, I haven't seen you in so long.
You see, at first, it's like panic of like, I'm being attacked, and then it's immediately kind of goes, it's been some time. As you see, they give an embrace just as deep as yours, as they kind of look at you. Well, you have grown, certainly. I see more tattoos than last time.
Well, they seem to appear I haven't actually quite figured out exactly when they appear, but more and more of them seem to show up. You seem to have gotten, not quite tattoos, but battle scars of your own. They look good on you.
Well, thank you very much. Can I offer you something to drink? Are you water or wine or something in between?
Whatever you're having.
Water is. As you see, she just kind of goes over into like a nearby cooler. You see that they're an aspect, which means that they act almost like an apprentice of sorts. They have divine powers of themselves, though they're not necessarily archons. As you see, theirs is that of ice and snow. As they pick up 2 glasses, and from their hands, it begins to have that sort of echelons of frost going over it as they chill it in sort of mid-process of giving it to you.
And Omera will receive the drink and look very intently at Azul. You seemed urgent.
I did. Please take a seat. I hope the trip was fun. Nothing too
Uneventful.
crazy, I hope. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad you made your way out, and I need your promise here. As you see, they kind of put the glass down, look you in the eyes. Gotta promise what we say and what we plan here is between us, no one else. Even your brother. I know you love him to death, but it's gotta stay between us.
And looking at Azul sitting kind of across from him, Omera will set their own glass down and will kind of lean in and place their hands on Azul's knees and like gently holding them. Of course, you know that anything that ever happens between us will always stay between us. I won't tell a soul. Why is it that you need me for Empire work? I left the academy.
I know, but I need to show you something. And you see they pull out a map here of the region and what's going on. So, as you know, we have been, as the letter mentioned, we are fighting here, the rebels. It's been a very long process, and a lot of people, good people, have died. Fathers, brothers, mothers, sisters, and everybody in between. But I think I have a way to end this peacefully. I think there's a way to end this conflict that not only ensures peace for the region, which the Emperor's going to want, but can save the lives of subjects that are going to be needed to help rebuild this place. He points over. A couple days ago, we managed to pick up one of the rebels' main leaders. And rather than killing them outright, I ordered that we, take them in captive without torturing or anything like that. And we just discuss the realities of the situation. John is here, which means that they got to deal with an Archon. And last time I checked, no mortal can kill a god. So it's a fruitless fight, in a sense. You're fighting with, it's not going to work out for you. And I relayed that situation to them. So, through various talking and making sure solid deals are in place, I have a deal that if they surrender themselves and the artifact within the ruins of which they kind of hold themselves up in, no harm will come to them or their kin. They will be pardoned for their crimes against the Empire. It is very simple. It's something I've been working on, and I'm doing behind Titus and Johanna's back because both of them want, either the artifact right now or everybody in that hovel dead, which I don't want.
I don't understand. Why are the others so insistent on the deaths of these people if there is, as you say, a peaceful alternative, one that is beneficial to the Empire?
Well, Titus is a cold-hearted son of a bitch now, but for Johanna, this is very personal. See, way back when, Johanna was fixing to get married, and they had a wonderful reception and everything, but these same people, Raven separatists, decided to lock the barn and try to kill as many of the lords they could. Sadly, their fiancé, the person they were meant to marry, was in the crossfire. Johanna is very hell-bent on making sure every last one of these people die a horrible death. And I think their judgment is clouded in this. Titus doesn't care too much as long as he gets the artifact, so it isn't really him I'm worried about. I can pull rank if we get this through. I can pull rank. Johanna will have to stand down as the Emperor will see the benefit of this peace. But in order to do this, I gotta get this rebel leader to their hideout without anybody knowing, they're going there, without letting everybody know we have the leader, and to, hence why the secrecy.
Well, maybe there is some other way to allow Johanna to get retribution for the way in which she was wronged. I mean, she is a god, after all, and so her will is absolute, above ours as mortals. We must, to some degree, acquiesce to her desires. It need not be in massacre and bloodshed, but perhaps there is another way to appease her. I'm sure a goddess of what once was a goddess of exemplary love would understand that.
See, they kind of get up, have their hands on their side. Yeah. Again, it has been discussed in the terms of the surrender that those responsible will take blame for it, and they will go through due process within the Emperor's justice. So there will be justice suspense. But if I can do it this way, only those responsible are the ones who get hurt, not everybody else.
As it should be.
You gotta understand. But yes, but Johanna doesn't see it that way. I mean, I'm not a heretic. No way, no how. But Johanna, it's almost like you're watching them fall apart each day. Like if you build a sandcastle on the edges of a tide. It's a sound structure, but when the waves hit, they just eat at the interior. And I think if we can do this faster, Johanna can go back to being the good old selves that they were, not this creature of war. So if you really want to think about it, this is helping Johanna as much as it's saving lives.
And anything we can do to help, I think, is just, is holy. So I will take your lead, and I will help in any way that I can. What exactly would you want from me here to help with these peace talks, these negotiations?
Well, you do have a silver tongue, but one of the main reasons why I called you here is I need your skills as a medical practitioner here. You see, when we did capture them, they took an arrow to the eye. Luckily, it wasn't a bullet, it was an arrow, but they had to take the eye out, and with that, we did what we could to prevent illness or any kind of infection, but we want to make sure that they are A-okay from getting to point A to point B, hence why I need your medical prowess. If you can help, fantastic in terms of helping negotiation, but the main thing is I need you to keep this person alive. William out there will act as the scout. He knows the forest, the mountains through and through, so he should get you through the fastest routes there. I sadly won't be able to join you. If I go missing, they'll know something's up. Or they may act as retribution, so you gotta go with William on this one.
Is William making the peace negotiations on your behalf?
No, that would be, he's kind of there to act as scout and backup. The people that will be talking on our behalf is one of the leaders. Arrow, is as they like to call themselves. They understand the situation they're in, and they understand the surrender.
Okay. And Omera's hands will, I think, move from Azul's knees and over to grab her hands gently and will squeeze them just once, reassuringly. I won't let you down. And we can do this. We can make sure that there is a peaceful outcome to this. And who knows, maybe after all of that, Johanna will see the way in which you have helped her and will grace you.
You see, they kind of laugh. I have missed that woodland optimism that you have. Like a sunshiny day.
I've missed you very much.
Missed you too. As you see, they kind of get up. All right, you should get going. I don't think many people saw you yet, and the last thing I want to see is some shiny green individual walking around the camp, and I'll start asking questions.
Do you have something else that I can change into really quickly to blend in a little bit
more?
Yeah,
you see they kind of pull up, they put clothes. I think I got your measurements right from the last time I did that, so it should fit. You see it's a little bit more darker clothes, very much almost like just a plain white shirt that's almost been stitched together. As you can see, some bullet holes went through this, and they just stitched up the region. So sadly, this fits, but dead people's clothes, it kind of shows the situation they're in of like, it's been really rough here for these people.
Yeah, and Omera will find like a private place to change and will head over to wherever William is about to take me for these peace negotiations.
Fantastic. And as you sort of, before we go to our break here, you see he's got what looks like to be a sort of small riverboat here. And it goes, well, now that looks a little bit better. Allow me to introduce you to one of the leaders of the Raven Separatists. As you see, moves his hand over. You see an individual seems to be slightly shorter than him, maybe 5'3". They have almost gray skin. As you see, half of their face is almost like war painted with like a shade of purple, while they have a shade of yellow that just goes across their eye. As you see, they have ears that are a little bit shorter, not necessarily bat-like, but just almost like a mix between an elf and a bat, so it's kind of that midway point. And you can see there's almost what looks like to be some sort of like maybe lion's tail, as it's sort of that tail with a little bit of a fur on the back of it, as it kind of goes through and kind of goes, fantastic, can we please go? My eye is killing me. As you can see, they have a bandage over their eye that still has that sort of dry blood on it. They don't necessarily have an eye patch for them, so they're still using the same stuff they were using when they were treated.
And can I sort of ascertain that like this is the person that got injured that I'm supposed to be helping?
Yes, you can. Okay. It's like, yep, that's an eye missing. It's gotta be you.
And I think Omera will just kind of like introduce themselves to this individual, to Arrow, and we'll say, after you, I can make sure that you're in as little pain as possible.
You see, they look you up and down and just, let's go. And with that, you all, 3 of you, go on a little boat ride up the Blood River. And that is where we shall take a quick break. So with that, everyone, please go to El Baño, grab a snack, get some water, and we'll be right back with some more Forsaken. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Forsaken. We hope you had a lovely break, but now it is time for us to head back in. With that, we find the camera switching through here. As we make our way past the boat, as you ride the river for the most part, and start to find yourself way up in the mountains of this place. Soon the smells of the swamps and undead forest are replaced with the frigid cold winds of the mountain as the temperature drops a bit and snow from the nearby clouds above begin to fill your path, which is both negative because it's a little bit more colder, but advantageous as it provides cover, something hopefully you don't have to worry about. But with that, the two of you, well, three of you in this case, begin to slowly make your way up this mountain range. And as you sort of cross over, you all begin to sort of duck down and sort of, crawl your way over as you see the image of where this main siege is. And it becomes clear to all three of you, you may want to keep your heads down as you guys are on the edge of the cliff of the perimeter, which has kind of been set up. Specifically, you can see what looks like to be a broken bridge that connects what would have been this part of the mountain to what looks like to be a set of ruins that have what looks like to be a variety of bloodstains on it, which means that people have died here. You can see that the soldiers here are kind of on the outside with weapons ready to just mow down anything that moves and breathes, and you can kind of hear under Arrow's breath of just fucking Verdes. Have their shiny heads so far up their ass they can't see that there's another way in.
Okay, well, is there anything that I should be prepared for before we go in and have this conversation?
Well, first, you should let me do the speaking, because if you speak, you're gonna get a bullet in the head.
Yeah, good looking out. Thank you. I suppose the only other thing is, are you going to be able to do the negotiations while I do my work as well to make sure that you are okay?
I've been through worse scrapes, so I should be fine, summer child.
Okay. In that case, I suppose after you.
You see, follow me. As you guys begin to kind of go, crawling ever so slightly back and begin to turn the corner. With that, you see William is behind. He has his rifle out just in case, providing you guys cover as they kind of go through. And with that, you see that the way you have to go, you're going around the army that's stationed. As you find yourself looking at what looks to be a very narrow ridge that you can see just tiny pebbles coming off and just going ever down the hill that you don't know, if somebody falls off, they're dead. And you can see that this is very much video game-esque of like, this is the tight corridor in which you have to lay your entire body flat and shimmy side to side. As you see Arrow kind of goes in first and kind of goes, I'm going to test it out. You follow suit.
As Arrow kind of like moves to go, while we've been walking through, Omera, I think, looks around to see, like, have we been spotted or have we been followed by anybody else? Because I think Ray is particularly concerned about being found out, given that we're going behind the gods and some commanding officers to do this.
I think you're filling something out here. I think this is a perfect time to use another move. So when you try to feel a person or place thing out, you say what you want to clarify about it, and you answer one question. The GM will answer the other one and give you the clarity that you seek. I think for this instance, I kind of start because you kind of asking a question. What feels kind of, dark or unraveling about this place, you don't think anybody is coming after you because there seems to be a secret passage. But the thing that is disturbing you is that these ruins are not to the Exalted. They are, how you say, the boundless. These was the old gods before. The Exalted are known very much as new gods, new blood, but the boundless were the old that have been around for a very long time and belong to kind of a group of people known as the Etheria, which are kind of the first inhabitant. The people that led into the first cataclysm fought each other, and the remaining survivors turned into that pantheon. So the thing that disturbs you, this is why are they spending so much resources to get in here? That's the thing that disturbs you. It's an old god. Why are you concerned? And I think that's for that answer there of why here, which leaves the other question for you to answer.
Before I answer the other question, just a follow-up to that information. So if this is a relic to the boundless, like the old gods, do I know just from like study or like folk tales or anything like that, like what happened to the old gods? Are they still around? Are they not?
No one knows what happened. See, a lot of people stopped believing in them after the third cataclysm because, the world was ending. I prayed to my god, whoever, they didn't show up. Almost like a parent that I never showed up. But the thing is, once the Exalted, they originally known as the Harbingers back then, came down, they showed divinity. It was very much, I can see it, I can believe it. So it's like, well, they're here. They can actually do things of divine feat. They can give their divine people to powers to other people. These are the new gods. So what's the point? The Empire doesn't enforce their will. It was just gradual assimilation. This people is like, I can't see it. How am I supposed to believe it?
So they might still like exist. We just don't know.
They could be. It's up in the air. Many debates in academies have over of like they're alive versus they're dead. Probably I was like others of like why should we care? They don't care. Never cared about us. Why should we care about them? So a lot of scholarly debate, but nobody ever is really sure.
Okay. Sort of keeping that all in mind as we go through the ruins, I think what feels welcoming on the surface about all of this, well, first is the environment, right? The fact that it is so like treacherous and so remote, I think makes Omera feel better about the fact that we are probably not going to get followed here, and like nobody would want to come here and risk their life, right? And then I think kind of on top of that, the additional thing that makes Omera feel safer in this situation is Arrow's presence, Arrow's sort of confidence and willingness to see reason, right? Like this is a separatist, a rebel that Omera is being asked to work with, which is not something that Ray would have ever thought themselves capable of doing. But clearly being able to see Arrow as somebody who's able to see reason and wants peace, wants a peaceful solution to this whole thing, to this conflict, makes Omera feel a little bit more settled and a little bit more comfortable here.
Fantastic. With that, Arrow gets over safely. The two of you follow. As you guys continue to make your way, you find yourself almost like at the backside of this place. And with it, you see what looks like to be just nothing. You almost feel like you got the runaround. You see William is like, has his hand very much on the rifle of like, oh, well, I knew this was coming. And begins to, you can see from behind, slowly inserting a bullet in the chamber just in case. But with that, you see Arrow kind of get on the knees. And with it, begin to sort of mutter to themselves. And as they are doing it, you hear something in the back of your head. Almost like a whisper. As you get just a slight migraine of some sort. As you hear the words, I know you. Before it cuts off.
Do I recognize the voice at all?
I will say for this, there's no specific move here. But if you be so kind and roll 2d6 for me, please, to see if you remember. You would do your standard, 6 below fail, 7-9 mix, and then, anything above that. A success. To see if you remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not
Well,
you're
what's
not
wrong?
gonna believe this. None of y'all are gonna believe this. For the first roll of this campaign, Netta, you're correct. 2-1 Snake Eyes, baby. Let's go.
This is gonna be a fun game if we keep. Look, it could have been the other move. So you dodged the bullet, maybe. You're trying to. You don't know what's going on at first. To be honest, your initial reaction here is like, are they doing something in my head? As you see Arrow kind of happen at the same time, Arrow mutter the words. You're thinking right now, maybe they're trying to infiltrate your mind or something.
And I think with that sort of that feeling of being infiltrated, I think Omera will kind of like shake their head, and the botanical tattoos that are around their neck, I think, start to creep up a little bit, up and over their head, starting to move like vines growing as Omera, I think, instinctually tries to push this person, this thing that Ray thinks is Arrow, like out magically, like closing off Rare Mind to whatever this is.
With that, you using what little magic you have to kind of push it back, you see Arrow kind of go off to the side. Even William asking, "What are you doing, you idiot?" As you see whatever words they mutter, almost like the wall begins to part as the sort of staircase, a hidden entrance is being made. As that was what they were muttering. As the two of them are kind of looking at you, you see William go, "Hey, are you all right?"
Were you? And like turning to Arrow, Omera looks concerned. I think the vines have stopped growing up their face and are starting to like come back down as Omera kind of comes down from this shock. Was it necessary to be in my head to do that?
Are you tense? I wasn't in your head. As you see, they get a little bit aggressive of like, oh, out of everything that's happening in my life right now, you want to tease me? As you see, they get very close and aggressive in your face. As you see, William is very much like, hey.
Well, if it wasn't you, somebody was. We're not alone.
Or maybe you don't belong here. Why'd you make your way all the way out here to this hellhole? You look like you come from a place that's very green and fine, so why would you grace ourselves with your presence, huh? Are you trying to win a heart, or trying to prove yourself, or trying to escape something? Daddy issues, maybe?
I am doing a friend a favor, and quite frankly, I am doing you a favor by keeping you alive throughout this whole ordeal. Or would you prefer that I didn't do that? Because if my help is not needed, I can leave.
You're the doctor. Be a doctor. Anything else isn't your forte. As they kind of push you and begin to walk down.
And Omera just kind of like stops for a second and like takes some deep breaths to like calm themselves down. Like, it's not worth it. We are here in a very volatile political situation. It's not worth it. And after sort of being able to calm themselves down, is going to follow probably William rather than Arrow at this point, to go further in. But this time, Ray is keeping like an especially watchful eye out for anybody or anything, even like a presence or a spirit or something that is nearby that could have put that voice into their head.
It's concerning, but more pressing things. With that, you begin to go down into the depths of this place. As you see, they pull a torch from the side and begin to light it up, handing it behind you guys. As you begin to slowly make your way down into these ruins, as you start to see arcanic-like words written on the walls, and soon it turns from this almost stone, natural-like stone, into something a little bit more glossy and black. As you guys find yourselves in a very hollow ground, as it seems to have been some ruin of some place, as there are features that have been destroyed a very long time ago, pillars and whatnot kind of clattered along the place, large archways, and you can see there are some beams of sunlight coming through the cracks of whatever this place once is. And as you enter, you begin to develop a sense of anger, but also loneliness. It is a strange place, and it gives a strange feeling. But all of that flashes in an instant as you see a bullet, slow motion. The camera sees it barely pass, almost like intercepting one of the locks of your hair as it goes. As you see, William tries to get it up, and you can see there are a number of other lights and guns, clocking up as they kind of point at you all, as you hear just a booming voice of go, "Put it down!" You see William go, "All right, I'm right, putting it down." With that, you see Era go, "It's okay, it's okay. It's okay. They're with me. Nira, it's me." You see they all kind of put their guns down ever so slightly. And you see an individual from like the middle section of this sort of circle begin to bound up and glide ever so slightly down, as you see two dragonic-like wings that have sort of red inlays in them and sort of orange on the outside, as this individual is humanoid but with dragonic features, the scales along their face. You see they have ram-like horns that go off their head, and you can see their bright red eyes against their orange kind of skin scales that they have at the moment, as they have what looks like to be black war paint that kind of goes across the eyes. I stand and go, "Hera, is that you?" You see her go, "Yes." As you see the two of them embrace. An embrace you're intimately familiar with, as this is an embrace of lovers. Or partners, maybe in this case. How that affects you. Actually, how knowing that in this instance, does Omira's thoughts change, or are they still the same? Saying that these two have a connection.
Seeing that Arrow and this figure, this other separatist figure, Nira, seem to be partners or lovers of some kind, I think brings Omera comfort. After all, one of the most powerful forces in the world is love. That is one of the jurisdictions of the gods. One of the lessons that we learn from the gods is how to love each other, how to be there for each other, and love guides us to better outcomes. Love guides us on the right path. And so knowing that these two have that between them makes Omera feel calm and to think, this will go better. This is more likely to succeed because there is love here, as opposed to disagreement or power struggles or whatever else Omera might have expected amongst their ranks. And I think Omera just kind of like allows them to embrace, and then will step forward, not with confidence, but I think with like a hesitation, given Arrow's countenance earlier. And will, after they have kind of like parted from their embrace, I am here to ensure that they are okay. So if you don't recognize me, my name's Omera. I am a healer.
I think you see the two of them very much in that sort of lover's head embrace, kind of their foreheads together. And as you sort of chime in, you can see that this individual, the sort of dragonic one, just tilt their head ever so slightly, and you see very much an eye of anger towards you, as you see they slowly back away from their love. And who exactly, as they point a revolver towards you, are you?
Well, like I just said, my name is Omera. I am a healer. I was invited to specifically ensure that Arrow does not perish. Ideally, I'd like to ensure that they heal and that she doesn't feel any pain as well.
So, as you see, they kind of turn to everyone. Are you here to surrender? As you see everybody go, ah!
Oh, I think there's been some mistake. I don't represent any particular political party here. I'm just here to help with the injuries.
See, bullshit. Everyone's got a side. There's no independent. You're either with the Empire or you're against them. So which one is it?
Can I feel out? Like, can I feel someone out and feel out Nira in this case to get a sense of, like, what? Like, from just this encounter and from what I might know about the Raven Separatists, just kind of more broadly, like, what are Nira's feelings about the Empire, like, on a grander scale? Obviously, they don't like the vampires here, but on, like, a bigger scale, like, how are they feeling about it?
Sure. So what's the question that we were trying to answer here?
Yeah, like how does Nira feel about the Empire? That is what I'm trying to figure out.
From what you can gather, you kind of hit it on the nose. Very much, they're fighting vampire lords. They did not sign up to fight. Really, they didn't really even sign up to fight Johanna. Johanna wasn't their generation's mistake, if you're really going to put it into context. They don't have beef with them. They have beef with the people, almost like in the sense of, if Johanna's like, if you want to say, maybe like dictator, if you want to put, of the region, they have problems with the state officials, not the government officials. So it's very much a state issue. The lords and whatnot. So their anger is probably just at the amount of time they've been fighting everyone. It kind of is just develop. But they, you can see behind the glim of their eye, are hoping this is a surrender, not necessarily of like, we won, haha, or just like, we can end this and go back to our lives. This is a person that didn't sign up to fight, is fighting, but does not want to keep doing this for the rest of their life.
Okay. So I think the question that I will answer in terms of what feels welcoming, or actually what feels dark or unnerving here is the immediate hostility that Nira had towards Omera is concerning for them, because they had assumed that because we have Arrow here that things might go a little bit more smoothly, but seeing that there is a propensity for violence amongst Nira is unsettling and unnerving for Omera. Before I answer Nira's question.
And I think the welcoming thing for you is that this would have gone a whole hell of a lot worse if you didn't have a deterrent, which is Arrow. That kind of has to come in and focus them, almost like if somebody was in a rage, they come in, you see their touch is tender. This isn't just a fling, this is a deep love that these two have had with each other. So they have understood their struggles and they're fighting, and they have to orientate them as you see the violence dies down when Arrow intervenes.
Well, I will not lie to you or to any of you. And Omera just kind of like very nervously looks around at all of the people that are around. Truthfully, I was not expecting to have to speak, but if I may be so bold as to say, this conflict does not have particularly anything to do with me. I come from a different place, from Mali, and I believe strongly in the Empire and its will. However, in this case, I think that perhaps there is a way forward that can be mutually beneficial, a peaceful way forward where we can end this fighting that has been ongoing between you and, from my understanding, the vampire lords. But
Are they serious right now? And you see Arrow kind of go, it's true, my love. There's a way to end this. Some people will be punished, but you see, they whisper, we are granted immunity. We can stop this fighting. I'm not fighting for immunity, I'm fighting for... And you see the two bicker for a moment. But in the end of it, you can see that in Arrow's eyes, they're done. Whether it be that they almost died, or that they have lost an eye now, which is something they will live with for the rest of their life. They're done fighting. They're done being a leader. And you can sense that these two are the heads, and if one is gone, there's no way the other is going to go. So you see Nira very reluctantly, fuck, puts the gun down. We'll talk. We surrender.
And a breath of relief exits Omera's body. I think they had been tensing up this whole time without realizing it, and all of that tension just exhales out of Rare shoulders and Rare arms that were scrunched up. I am glad to hear it, and from what I've been told, that there will be a chance for justice in a fair manner for everyone involved here. That is what the representative that I had been speaking to had promised everybody. So
fair. I'll meet you at the castle as they kind of turn away with their love. You see Arrow looks over to you and does say thank you, but what do you say before they walk off?
Omera just kind of says, I never got to treat you, so if you don't mind.
You see Nira kind of go. And with that, you begin treat them.
And I think in this case, because this is such a grievous injury rather than something kind of more routine, and because this piece rests so heavily on Arrow's well-being, Omera is going to pull a little bit more on the god's magic and will pray for guidance. Specifically, we'll put together a potion that calls out to... I think in this case, Omera thinks that the most appropriate god to call for is Daros, the Unrelenting, the Archon of Valor, and the Forge, given how Arrow got this injury, in the heat of battle. Ray thinks that calling upon Daros as an Archon of sort of war in a way might help the success of the healing along a little bit faster.
Yeah, Daros he's a warrior god, all of his is that if you fight for me, you will go into heaven blissfully. And with that, you kind of call upon that god to answer. One of the unclear omens and vestiges that are kind of upon you is you hear that voice again in the back of your head. Why do I know you? Before it cuts off.
Does it feel like this voice is related to the prayer and to the healing magic at all in any way? Did I summon it in that way? Does it feel like?
Yeah, you're not feeling any summoning. It's weird to come and go. It's almost like if a radio is trying to pick up on a transmission. It's coming in and out. There's something within here. Or it could just be, again, it's cold up here. You're not used to this kind of weather. Maybe it's just tricks. You do hear that the echoes of this place is loud. So, what may sound like a whisper is maybe somebody else talking from another room.
GM, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
There's not a move for this, I don't think, per se. However, Given that Omera has such a strong connection to at least the new gods, right? At least to the Harbingers, and to the Exalted Empire, is a very pious, devout individual. Is there any way that, given that we are in the ruins of the old gods, that Omera can, while Ray is here, try and commune with any of the old gods?
I think for here, we'll do a little cheating here. This is technically a divine move, but since you're kind of doing this, it makes a little sense to recognize a god. When you're trying to recognize one of the signs or influence of a god within the cradle, roll 2d6. Add 1 for each statement that is true. So I would say you're in their domain, so that's a +1. You're not familiar with their gospel. It'd be bad if you didn't know. It's not necessarily bad. So I'm going to say this is a +1 to this bad boy here.
Not me cheating on episode 1.
Look at the rules.
I got a 7, so just barely hit.
Yeah, the GM will give you a clear interpretation of the omen. You are kind of trying to get a grasp of what this is. This place is of the boundless, but you notice there's something on the edges of this place. It is slightly dark. There's a reason why there's ruins. Oblivion has touched this place. Something in here belongs to that domain, though you do not know what it is. Though it could just be the place itself. Either or, you think maybe you should just get out of here. Because this didn't happen when you were downstairs, down the mountain. This place is just giving you the heebie-jeebies.
Okay, noted. And there's nothing that I know in terms of like the relationship between Oblivion and the old gods at all, is there?
Not much. You do know that it's again speculation. Academics have been trying for years to understand where this thing came from. It just happened. Nobody knows what happened. So you don't know. It's still an academic mystery.
Okay. I think in that case, feeling the sort of remnants of Oblivion in this space, and then on top of this sort of like very creepy, unsettling feeling, Omera is going to, I think, get up after praying to Daros and having successfully done so. Is going to get up and like just move to Arrow, double check that they are feeling okay, and just keep it moving. Gonna follow William, who I assume is gonna lead us out, just back out of here. But I think that even as we're like leaving, there is like this tug. Like, yes, this place is telling Omera to leave, but the fact that whatever is here is speaking to Rem and to no one else here, at least it seems no one else here. It just, there's a little tug in the back of Omera's head, like, am I connected to this space in any way? And I think that kind of thought follows them, almost like pulling them back a little bit as they exit the space.
And I think the camera does a bit of a trick as it kind of follows you. You're in deep sort of deep thinking there as it kind of zooms in on you, blurs a bit, and then begins to zoom back out, unblurring. You find yourself back in your regular clothes, no longer having to wear this, as you find yourself deep within the castle hall as a celebration is about. You hear people calling it a treaty, a peace, and with that, all the rations that were meant to last the sort of army months and months ahead has been now converted into a wonderful feast. Shifts of patrols have ended, rebels and soldiers are kind of together. You can see that most of the Raven separatists are invited but keep to themselves, while all the men, including William, you can see fathers, sons, wives, daughters, brothers, sisters, all without the threat of distress. And that they will soon go home to their families, as some of them are not from here. Some of them are from Ali of all places, as some recognize you as you do a bit of catching up with some of them. As you are kind of to yourself, looking for probably Azul. You are in sort of the main chamber hall. As you see, sort of the tables are more lengthy-wise there, as you see the stained glass in the background depicting Count Dumont and their past history here. Azul is nowhere to be found, but you find yourself, I would assume, a seat, if I'm not mistaken, or would you kind of keep on looking?
I think if I can't find Azul, Omera will assume that Azul, being kind of an important high-ranking official here, is like doing some important business. Like I shouldn't bother him. So they're just gonna leave her alone for like not really try and look too hard, and instead, Omera is going to actually look for either Arrow or Nira, whichever of the two is like the most easily found and in the best spirits, and is going to try and strike up a conversation with them.
Fantastic. As you're kind of going through, trying to get to Arrow, you can see they're kind of blocked off. As you see, there's a number of people there already, so you kind of have to very much, if you are waiting in line to speak with someone, you kind of sit back against the wall, just waiting for your turn. And as that does happen, I think the camera kind of pans to the side as we see you leaning against the wall and ever so almost like coming into pan. You see there's an individual who kind of struts along with a drink in their hand as they pull it out to you. As you are met with the vestige of another friend of yours, Titus, who is a boy no longer and has blossomed into the very essence of respect and authority, as they wear the imperial colors and the flaming hammer that represents their status as the Grand Vizier, one of the Emperor's closest advisors. To be a little bit more specific with their details of what they look like, they seem to be more of kind of a leafy green skin color. Their ears are almost like that of a calf, which are kind of more hanging down, and they can kind of go up and down with fur on the sides. You can see he has what looks like to be kind of a goatee at the moment, with sort of very thin mustache with a little bit of hair on the side there. You see his antlers are black, protruding from his sort of messy purple hair, and a scar that was not there before as it goes right along the cheek there, meaning that he must have been in some scrap to get that. As he kind of pulls along, puts it on the side, and goes, "Congratulations."
Titus! Oh, where are my manners? And Omera, I think, like bows in the customary fashion, being in the presence of someone so high up in the Exalted Empire. Congratulations are in order for you, I think. Last I heard, you had become the Grand Vizier.
Well, things change. Apparently the Emperor didn't think my fuck-up was that big of a fuck-up. Now I'm in charge of a whole bunch of stuff for the creation of new and wondrous technology. But you, and as he kind of does a bow back, the grand hero of the hour.
I wouldn't call myself a hero. I think Azul, and Omera just kind of like looks around just again to see if they can find her, not seeing her. Azul actually is the grand mastermind, who the real hero truly behind all of this. But come on, Titus, you know that your fuck up, as you called it, wasn't your fault. That wasn't really your fuck up.
Yeah, well, tell that to Isabella as he takes a swig.
I tried.
But,
I mean, you know that, right? That I tried?
Yeah, I know you try. I read the transcripts. I know. He kind of puts his hand on your hand. I know you did your best.
There's only so much you can do before the usurper, has her say. So.
It's in her name, so. As it gets a little bit of an awkward silence between the two of you as he kind of goes. Well, yeah, I again congratulate you on your cunning. I would have stormed those ruins and had minimum bloodshed, but,
I'm not a soldier, you know that. any attempts at the academy to teach battle strategy or anything like that. That's not really for me. I prefer very much the plants to the blood and the weapons and all of that. That was always you and Azul's thing.
I was never much of a soldier, only did it because, needed to create new opportunities. In an empire, conqueror is good for business and political gain.
I suppose so. You would know better than I, being the Grand Vizier and all. How is, by the way, if I'm allowed to ask, how is working so closely with Aenir? Emperor Aenir, my goodness.
Don't worry, they don't have ears behind the walls, unlike what most people think. The Emperor's fine. Production has been put full blast. I mean, of course, we're looking for the treasure fleet thieves, but from what I've heard, your brother's doing exemplary work.
Always does. I'm really sorry to hear about that. Didn't really think that would happen around these parts, but I suppose that is the tumultuous time that we're in.
So he kind of points towards the Raven Separatists. You're a doctor, you understand what a plague is or a virus.
Yes.
The Empire is a healthcare provider. They're the sickness, we're the cure. As he takes another drink.
Well, I mean, I suppose that there are perhaps other ways as well to deal with a virus, as you so put it. Have you considered meeting them in the middle, perhaps? Might end this war a little bit sooner.
That good old Mali. You see, he kind of chuckles to himself. I wish it was that simple, but the world's a complex place, Amira.
Look, if it was in Mali, if we were dealing this Mali style, we would just play, I don't know, game of chance, and the victor would get all of the spoils. I don't think you want to do it that way.
That is true. Reckless. Speaking of which, are you going to be staying since you already did your task, or are you going to be heading out? I mean, the Emperor is headed this way. I think they would love nothing more than to thank the person who ushered in peace. Maybe a medal?
No medals for me, I think. But no, I was thinking that maybe I would stay with Azul for a little bit, haven't really seen, maybe you as well. We could, all three of us, just like old times, hang out or something. It's been a while, so.
I think that would be lovely. And before you're able to continue, you see the place kind of get quiet as you just hear just a banging, just doosh, doosh, doosh. All right, everyone, quiet. With that, there is a kind of a silence in the room. Bang kind of turns down. You see that Azul enters in, and you just hear just a round of applause. They're just like, yeah, woo! As there is peace, they give their bows. They do everything in that sense. And with that, you see Azul go, thank you for each one of you that fought. The Emperor has gotten its peace as promised, and as you can see, our efforts have ushered in a new era of peace. These are no longer rebels, these are kingsmen, people of the Empire, and they are under our protection. You just hear another doosh, 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 doosh of applaud. With that, you see Arrow get up. Thank you, Azul, for going through talking first rather than shooting. We understand we have caused your people pain. And as with this, we wish to impart one last gift, part of the official surrender. You see, they kind of look over to their partner. As you see, they have something wrapped in their arms. Even they have gloves on, which means there's no physical contact on this thing. And what they produce what looks like to be a glowing purple vein-like ore that causes you to just wince in pain ever so slightly by looking at it. As Azul begins to take the artifact, in their hands. Something blows the doors open. The wind so strong and so fast that all the lights from the candles go out instantly. Like a darkness has entered the room, and the winds blow heavy, the chandeliers shaking back and forth, back and forth. And whispers begin to echo from each corner of the room, as you know, Omira, just as everyone else who is here. You see, shattering through the stained glass as everybody has to protect their eye, the red mist begin to form up, spiraling into a humanoid figure as described before. Their pitch black eyes, vampire fangs as they look around that region, and their hair flowing ever so slightly with the wind. I'd like to welcome my guest. I am ashamed that I did not get an invitation to the party. You see, there is a fear in the room as Azul approaches. Mare, Johanna, we have won the war. There is a peace, a security. You see, they begin to, Johanna, almost dance around the room. As, like everyone in this room is a plaything that they can just their fingers almost very carefree along the table, scratching it. And so you have secured such a peace, unlike any this region has seen. You are now breaking bread with termites. You see Titus go, oh boy. Look, you see he gets up. Johanna, let's forgo the pleasantries. As Grand Vizier, I over... what's the word here? I pull in rank here. You need to stand down. You can't touch them. It's a surrender. There are people that you will be able to kill after due process. It's how an empire works. Or do you want to piss off an ear? As you see, normal mortal person who is standing up to a god, in a sense. You see Johanna very quickly going over the table, and Misform gets up in his face, and he doesn't flinch. You see they... It is boring when they do not have fear. As they go off to the side. Looking around the room, they clock you, Omira. And they don't focus on you, but they give a knowing look of someone of my religion, my court. How interesting. Before continuing the conversation, what's going through your mind?
Omera is equal parts in awe and terrified. You are not, though the gods walk among us, and though Omera had worked closely with Isabella, the usurper being her disciple, while Omera was at the academy. I mean, Omera is no stranger to the gods, has met some of them in person, face to face. Johanna is different. Johanna has had two aspects to them, and this is the aspect that Omera does not worship. Johanna's old aspect, or old version of themselves, Johanna the Lost, is the one that Omera really and truly worships, though she does not exist any longer. And so this version, I think, brings fear to Omera as Ray stands there, I think, making eye contact with Johanna. And though Omera wants to turn away immediately, wants to break this eye contact, is unable to do so, there is something, I think, pulling them together. But at the same time, there is an awe of the power and of the presence that Johanna has. And it's almost like electricity roiling through the room, something kind of sparking up inside of Omera, that when Johanna looks at them, kind of compels them to speak in a way without Johanna even doing anything. It's just the mere presence of her. And Omera kind of like stumbles through rare words and blurts out, "It is justice for you in a different way, in a way that is fair to all."
They get up to your face instantly, as they were across the room, and almost like a split second are in your face. "A gift? To me? You would give me such a gift?"
Omera does flinch. Titus did not. Omera does. Omera does not have that kind of a backbone. And they like try and like lean back. Not so much that it's disrespectful, but just enough that it's like to make himself feel better. And Ray, like wide-eyed, trying very hard to not pee themselves, to be honest. Omera just kind of says, "You are an Archon after all. It is what you are owed. We just hope that the lives of everyone involved can also be considered in that process."
And they smile, put their finger on your chin. "This is what I like from a follower. They know their place in the world, and they know what I am owed." As you see, they turn over to the rebels. You see Arrow kind of stands in the way of Nira. As you see, they extend their hand out with the gift. You see Johanna takes a look around the room, looks at Titus, looks at Azul, and looks at you, and whispers to themselves, "What I am owed." You see they reach their hand out to receive the gift, and part of you is another crisis of. But what happens next jolts you. You see that their hand doesn't go for the rock, but goes to their midsection. As you see, they pierce their heart as they put their hand almost like a sharp knife and go straight through Arrow's chest. As you see the blood come out, you see Nira scream as they are backhanded into one of the nearby sections of the room. And as they slowly go up, "What I am owed." The camera does not show exactly what happened, as we only see it from Omir's perspective and the shadow of the creature. They shift. The jaw of that shadow shows, and you, Omira, see a sight that is unlike anything you have seen before. As they bite into the neck of Arrow, sucking the blood out of their body almost like a juice pack. And then tear their body in two, spraying blood all over this party that was once here. You see there is a scream in the room. And with that, you see Azul with their guards immediately get their weapons. "All right, Archon, Johanna, you have gone against the wishes against the Grand Vizier, which is against the Emperor. You are under arrest." "You think you can arrest a god? I will show you a god." As you see, as they turn into a misform and the place turns into chaos, You see that the soldiers try to shoot, try to stab, and with that their misty form goes through. They are slicing heads off. They are biting them off like corks. They are slashing through. It is a horrible scene. What are you doing in this instance as this place turns into a bloodbath with not only that, but it looks like they're gunning for Azul.
I think the first thing that Omera would have, was about to try to do when conflict started to happen was Omera was about to come in to the middle of it and to say, there are terms that we agreed to, and, this is a god, this is an archon, we can't just, but very quickly, I think, realize that is not what is happening here. There is no room for talking. There is no room for any sort of diplomacy, and it is just life and it is just death in this moment. There is so much blood everywhere. And I think the first thing is that because Omera's with Titus, I think Ray pulls Titus, down and, behind a pillar or something to hide. And then will after making sure that Titus is okay, we'll say, we have to go get Azul. Okay, we have to get Azul and we have to leave. We have to get everybody out.
Do you have a plan how to kill a god? Because I don't, unless you got some kind of, I don't know, secret weapon or something. I don't know. I mean, we can get out, sure, but a lot of people are gonna die, so what's the plan here?
The plan. We improvise. We figure it out as we go. The only thing that's important is that we make sure that people don't die. Whatever that is, that's not Shahana. That's not a god. That is, something's weird about this place. It's this place. It's not Shahana.
Sure, whatever you say. As you see, there's a body thrown over where you guys are hiding. As you see, half of their face is immediately gone, leaving only the skull as they go, as they lean down. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, it's this place. As you see, he kind of gets up, and immediately you see from his sort of robe, he has a number of what looks like to be small discs that he begins to form, almost like arcane shields, as he begins to go in forth and goes, I'm playing defense here, so you go offense.
And I think Omera will kind of come out from the pillar and will look for Azul.
You see Azul right now is almost like there was like a chamber chair, like a head chair of a lord, kind of ducks behind it, and is just firing with the revolver just where the mist is. You can see that they occasionally, Johanna goes into their natural form, but even then, the mist just goes through like if it's hitting mist or smoke. As you see, it's just hitting other people that are in the way. As you see, they drink again. I haven't had this much blood since the war. It's so delicious.
And Omera is going to run towards Azul, trying to dodge in between bodies and in between people fighting, and is just going to try and get behind where Azul is as well.
Yeah, you kind of have to dodge out the way. You see people are either running or trying to get into this, and with that, you get down there. You two are kind of behind this main desk now, as you see Titus is currently kind of almost like if somebody was flicking a stone against a lake, is flicking spells. You see just fire, ice, wind, whatever they can do just to get their attention as a little bit nuisances here.
Stop, Azul. Aren't you noticing you aren't hitting her?
What am I supposed to do? These are good men and they're dying. They're not just killing rebels. They're killing everyone.
We need to get everybody out. We need to evacuate everyone immediately. Okay? There is no fighting her. Whatever she is, it's not possible.
You see that they kind of, this moment dies for them as they look you in the eyes. Usually there is immediate regret of them bringing here, and they just, I'm sorry I brought you here.
No.
I'm sorry I involved you.
I think Omera grabs Azul by the face, both cheeks in rare hands. Hey, you couldn't have known, okay? You needed help, and you asked for it, and you got help, and I would never say no to you, okay? So, stop. We're gonna make it out of here. We're gonna make sure as many people as possible make it out of here.
With that, as you say that, you hear it almost like quick, fast, and without you even noticing, you hear from behind, who is going to make it out of here? And you see they immediately grab you and begin to lift you up as they begin to squeeze you like a python at the moment. Looking at you, a follower, were you? Looks like you are a traitor. You know what I do with traitors, as they begin to squeeze you as you take strain.
I think in that moment, as I'm being lifted up and being squeezed, Omera's tattoos start to almost like crawl out of their body. I think like actual vines, like really thorny vines, start to like form out of their body, specifically coming out of Rare back and the backs of Rare arms, and they almost form like a cocoon around Omera's entire body, trying to protect them from this sort of constriction that's happening.
With that, almost like a natural defense system, it begins to sort of let go of you as you kind of get a grasp of your rib. You know something's broken, but you have to deal with that later. As you see, it looks like you have tricks.
Question for the GM. When I did that, because the vines that I created around myself were like thorny and supposedly pointy and sharp, did I notice any sort of damage or like hurt that had been done to Johanna? Or was it more like why did Johanna like drop me? Was it painful?
It is, you can see magic versus magic. At the end of the day, even if you're God Divine, it's the one thing that you can fight with. So with that, you can see it does hurt, but you do also notice that they're just able to resupply. They grab some peasant and just and throw them out the window as it sort of heals up.
And I think noticing that Omera makes a very terrible calculation in their head and realizes that if we can isolate Johanna, or I refuse to even call this thing Johanna. This is not a god. This is not the lover that we have been told stories about, that we know. This is not an archon. This is a monstrosity, a joke, a blasphemous shadow of an archon. I refuse to call Johanna, but this thing that is before me, if I can isolate it, then it won't be able to replenish itself and its vitality. It won't be able to drink other people's blood. And so I will act impulsively and attempt to, within these ruins, I know that there are specific parts that like people haven't like, the castle is like next to some ruins, right? That like people haven't gone to very much.
You're in the castle. You kind of made your way back, so you're just in a castle.
Yeah.
Very much count.
But like, are the ruins nearby? Here. Like,
I will say, I'll give it benefit of the doubt. They are nearby.
Okay.
I will say they are kind of. I mean, you have to kind of run a bit, but they're nearby.
I think then Omera, knowing that that's like an uninhabited place that like people don't often go to and it's like difficult to get to, Omera is going to try and like capture Johanna's attention and like head in that direction, trying to peel her away from all of the like other people that are here.
Fantastic. So with that, you are doing that there. Of trying to do that, the trouble that hits you fast and hard is that as you are running towards the door, you are going to be like, okay, I have a path in mind. You see Nira with just a look of rage in their face, not towards you, but towards Johanna. And with it, you see them take this artifact, get as close as possible as they can, and you hear them scream, "Die, you vampiric bitch," as you see they pull out and hold this almost like stone that slowly turns more like a rigid crystal in their hand, and as that begin to sort of stab Johanna. But whatever they are holding is too powerful for them. As you see, as it's in their hand, their entire body begins to cracks and seams begin to form on their body, so much so that you can see whatever they're holding is actually hurting Johanna and is leaving a mark. But as they do stab, you see that they immediately... Light comes flashing out of their eyes of a purple nature, and an explosion happens, so much so that it goes and blows you through one of the nearby windows as you hit into the lake. As you cut back to you, crawling your way through. You are going through, you see Johanna's on the prowl, fighting is going about, it is chaos, it is hard to concentrate. You're trying to get to Azul, and you see them. You see Azul is at the moment only with themselves. They're kind of isolated from everyone, but is currently holding Titus in their hands as Titus is knocked out and is bleeding from the head. What are you doing in this scenario, as there's a clear path for you to get there?
I witnessed what I witnessed, and as I get to Azul, and I see Titus. Is Titus still like conscious or is unconscious?
He's unconscious. He's
Okay.
unconscious and bleeding from the head. So.
I will kind of like very quickly assess the situation and then say to Azul, "There's a way to hurt her. There's a way to hurt whatever that thing is, and I think I can. I think we can get it, but it might be dangerous."
I follow your lead.
Can you? Is there a way to get there quicker?
Follow me. I think we can just run through. You see William kind of go, this way.
And I will run and follow Azul's sort of like lead wherever it is that they think is the best way to get there.
Fantastic. You see William kind of goes, all right, follow me. And with that, you all begin to run. Camera pans off slightly to Johanna as you see they go, here you are. And begins to sort of follow through, jumping on people, still gathering blood. With that, you guys are running through the forest, going through, hitting rocks and whatnot. And with that, you make your way back to the same ruins. You see that you currently at the moment are... It's open. There's no cover here. There's only one way in and one way out. And as you're sort of trying to get your bearings, you see coming from the ceilings, from one of these sort of open holes in the wall, they're coming out in this sort of form as they sort of see you holding your friends, showing the love that you have. You start to see that their form changes from that monstrous nature as they turn into a pool of blood. And then slowly from the ground up begin to form into almost a naked version of themselves covered in the blood. As they kind of go, I hope you have made your peace with your gods, even though that may be me. I wonder which one I shall feast on first. As you see, William gives you time to look for whatever you're going to look for as he just pulls out his sniper and just as they begin to sort of move past the pillar. What are you doing?
Omera is going to, based off of where they last saw this artifact and Nira together, is going to try and go there. And hopefully Nira's still okay, alive.
No, Nira's dead. No, Nira
Damn it.
is completely dead. They blew themselves up practically. Whatever they were holding was too powerful for a mortal body, and they completely... So you know what? This thing may kill Johanna, but you may have to die in this process, which is something in the back. Whoever's going to hold this thing is going to die in this process. Whether you want that to be you or somebody else, I leave up to you. But as you're kind of looking through, you do find this. But as the same time you find it, you see they have Azul in their grasp. As they slowly pick them up. You see they are getting their jaws ready to consume the blood of the one you love. You see what looks like to be a piece of rock that is different in nature, but more like cylindrical with spiked ends on it, which would be easier to stab with. And in slow motion, you have very limited options ahead of you. What's going in your mind here, and what are we doing?
They're perhaps were a myriad of different thoughts in Omera's head up until this point, right? Thinking about Nira's death and thinking about, well, what is the best way to go about doing this that doesn't result in perhaps another person dying? But all of that busyness quiets in her mind as Ray sees Azul about to be eaten, about to be devoured by this blasphemous, bloodied creature. And I will not have that. I will not allow for that to happen. And so it is without even thinking that Omera, I think, will grab onto this cylindrical mace, almost double-ended mace that has formed. Is going to grab onto it with one hand, and with the other is going to, I think, send out those same spiky vines of almost like a thorn whip that kind of goes out to Johanna, and like a grappling hook is going to bring themselves as close as they possibly can to Johanna, as quickly as they can, to stab her before Azul dies.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is called God Killer for a reason. You are attempting to kill a god in this instant. Please, if you be so kind, when you confront a god in their true form and you have exploded their downfall to kill them, describe how you slay them and roll 2d6. I think you've kind of already described how you're going to do this. So this is a very important roll. Please roll to kill Johanna, the Devourer.
For the audience, Johanna's downfall is witnessing acts of sincere love and care. And this stirs up Johanna's grief and rage, which allows her to coalesce into this blood-covered form. And so, powered by the emotion, the care, the affection, the love that Omera has for Azul, and putting themselves in death's way instead of Azul is what is powering their actions in this moment. And I have rolled a 7.
A 7? On a hit, they see something vital from you as well. Name what vital part of yourself that you lose to Johanna.
I think Omera loses half of their heart to Johanna. I think I'll allow you to sort of interpret that and describe it however you will, but I think in this moment there is a crack, a schism that occurs within the foundation of what Omera believes, philosophically speaking, morally speaking, emotionally speaking. I think witnessing this act of profane violence enacted by a god, enacted by an archon who is supposed to love us, to show us what it means to be good and righteous. I think it irreparably damages Omera, and you can take half of their heart.
Thank you. With that, you... When you stab someone within the chest, usually a lung or a heart, many think it is a scream of pain. But how can someone scream when they cannot breathe? You twist hard. You haven't killed anyone before, but you stab deep because you know this person. You don't want them to come back. But as you do, that energy riles through your arms. As Johanna begins to die, this stone leaves your hand, begins to levitate off the ground, sparking purple lightning, and with that you see the shards begin to break and immediately enter into your region where half of your heart is. As it begins to deep into your skin, it is uncontrollable pain as you have to hold your head as a migraine. Lightning emanates from your body. Grounds and stones begin to levitate. It's uncontrollable. You can feel the rage as you begin to consume Johanna's essence, but it is so much. It is overwhelming, overloading. You have nowhere to put it. And with that, you slowly begin to lift off the ground as your eyes, too, in that similar fashion, begin to emanate a purple light emanating from the ground. You're not able to see where your friends are, or even William, but they are not here. And you try holding this thing in, but something in you is angry. And in a flash, the camera zooms outside as your scream echoes. And energy blasts from the mountain as everyone who is down fighting begins to see a wave of purple-like energy, misty and smoky, coming off of the mountain and coming towards them as all fighting ceases and they begin to try to run away. But they can't. The smoke goes over. Before it all comes back to you, and with that, a beam of light goes into the sky. The camera pans off to other sections of the continent. Places where old creatures of the forest look out to see a purple light in the sky. Booming cities in the sky, seeing it a little bit closer than most. Those in the mountains who hammer away crafts and goods see this. And in the farthest of regions, deep within the capital of the world, sitting on a throne, an emperor sees an unlikely sight. The energy begins to, as it all begins to die down. The camera pans around to where the castle is. Still burning, but that is not as what concerns us. What concerns us is the ashes. The statues, as if a volcano has just erupted, leaving petrified bodies, gleaming with Venus-like ore inside of them, in positions of trying to run away, or horror, or confusion, as the entirety of the army has been consumed. 3,000 souls. No more. The mountainside is now cylindrical in nature, as there is almost like if something disintegrated it in a perfect spherical shape. As in the middle is a body. Their clothes are gone, leaving only them in a huddled position, as it is Omera. And inside, near where their heart is, are shards of a purple nature embedded into their body. And as you are in and out of consciousness, unable to understand what is going on, you see a figure in the distance, perched like a bird. You can't make it out except for the two eyes, which one is purple and one is blue, and the feather-like wings behind their back. They get closer. Who are you? And that is we shall end the first episode of Forsaken. Yay!
Hold on, did you kill my girlfriend? Is this all dead?
We'll find out in the next episode, everybody.
How could you do this to me?
Hey, it's first episode, everyone. You know what it is here. This is how we do it. This is how we do it here. truly is Forsaken. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this very, very special episode of Forsaken, using the wonderful God Killer system made by the phenomenal Kani-chan. With that, this is the first episode of many, so next week there will be another episode. But with that, let's do some outros, starting off with my lovely God Killer here.
Hello. I don't know what just happened. Hi everyone. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns. I am a TTRPG performer and producer. Today I have been Omera, who uses they/they pronouns. The devout, no longer devout. Who witnessed so many things and potentially lost many things. My brain is broken. Follow me on all of the social medias at Lilith TTRPG to see my work in other places. This is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only show that I currently have airing at the moment. No, I lied. Go listen to The Ties That Bind, which is a corrupted podcast wherever you pod your casts to follow me, Josephine Kim, and Navarre Seek Jackson in the apocalypse, in the zombie apocalypse. It is a gay old time. If you like slow burn, listen to Ties That Bind. And that's me, Chris, the trauma man. Please take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Trauma Man. It is my job, and it was my pleasure to be your wonderful god for these preceding evenings. Right now, I am working on this show here on Taíno Tales, but I will also be February 20th on Bad House RPG, be doing its first all-Latinate Werewolf the Apocalypse AP called Embers of Rage, with a bunch of wonderful performers, which is part of Bad House's extended World of Darkness universe. We're playing werewolf bikers, so a lot of crime, a lot of werewolves, and a lot of stuff there, and maybe we might mess with a vampire stuff. We'll see. So please join us at that time. And as well, we'll be here next week for another wonderful episode of Forsaken. With that in mind, thank you everybody for joining, and we hope you have a wonderful night. Till then, see you next week. Bye-bye.